Linhall. Okay. 20 seconds to move. B4. The orangutan. So if you defend with the knight, they can just push this pawn forward and harass it. The normal line here is actually to take the pawn. It seems weird trading a trading a perfectly good center pawn for a wing pawn. Now you have to worry about this. But as I understand that this is the line here. It's tempting. You kind of want to play this knight out right away to chase the chase that bishop away, but it's apparently not the best. Here, let's go ahead and put a pawn on d4 too while we're at it. d5 rather, pawn to d5. Then I'll play knight c6, I guess. Yeah, where should the bishop go? If I drop back to a5, he can't kick it again. But is it doing so much here? I guess it keeps some pressure on this c3 pawn. He does have the check. Queen check, knight c3. He didn't go for it. Knight c3 anyway. So now his knight is tied down defending this pawn. And I'm just going to get castled. Ah, he decided to save his bishop. Okay. So do I want my knight to come around? Yeah, I think putting a knight on e4 looks good. Also maybe bishop to g4. Yeah, knight on e4. So I've got extra pressure on this pawn. He's got it defended with queen and knight. So he's just going to trade it off. I could put my bishop here. He could attack it with the knight. Put the pawn here. See if he wants to trade in these circumstances. And let's bring my knight around to the king side here. He could play c4. I'm planning to just play c3, c6 if that happens, just defending there. Okay, so let's prepare to take some stuff off here. So I could take the bishop now and then take the knight. So he takes first. Now this is very solidly defended, so I can just take his bishop if I want. It's not clear that I want to do that. These pieces seem kind of useful here, piling up on C. Yeah, exactly. So now he wants to undermine the knight. So now let's decide here. I can take the bishop now. And then take here. It gives up the center. But, I can play c6 here and bring this bishop back. You can take here with check, of course, but I'm going to block with bishop e6 there. And I guess I'll drop down here then, since he's hitting my bishop. I still want to play c6. I'll give this bishop a little more scope, and he finally gets his knight out. c6 covers squares that the knight might hop to. Okay, what next? Bring my queen out and push these pawns forward on the king side. Yeah, so he's looking at this square. Let's stop that right away. I want to play queen. I could have played queen f3 and then played that, but when his knight came here, it would have been hitting the bishop. Queen f6 is what I want to play. Yeah, I thought, okay, he does it now. I thought he was going to bring that bishop. When he took with the queen, I thought he was going to take with the bishop there. Just in order to get this. So now we have because otherwise I get to keep the bishop pair advantage, but I think he always had the option of trading it off, so I wasn't ever counting that as a permanent thing. So now we got bishop versus knight for the middle game. And what to do here? I think, centralizing the rook is logical. Could bring it up here and over to harass the queen. His knight could go back to c6. Okay, he pushes the pawn forward. So when that comes here, it's a problem. So let's, oh, I can't stop it, huh? Rook there, he just pushes anyway, bishop takes. It's defended twice. So, and I can't stop it because a pawn there is a problem. So he is going to win a pawn here, it looks like. He's going to win the, well, I could defend it. Could defend it. Oh, here's an idea. I could defend it like this. It's not such a bad way to defend. He kicks my bishop, and I'll bring it back this way. Bring the bishop back to this square, so the rook still defends here. I was considering just giving it up, but I wanted to find, if I could find a convenient defense, then that also is okay, I think. And maybe the action is more on the king side, and the bishop is not hitting anything great here. Although it keeps him from advancing in the center, so it has some merit. But the bishop would be good, well posted here or here, f6 or e7. So he drops the queen back immediately. Yeah, let's go ahead and rotate the bishop around. Why not? I see. So here's the trick. If I go here, he'll trade rooks and then take the pawn. How about if I go here first, though? Oh, he still gets to take the rook with check. I was thinking bishop here is a double attack on his queen and his rook. But unfortunately for me, he can take my rook with check. So rook here maybe? He can bring his knight forward now. That would be a bit annoying. Yeah, there he goes. So I could take his queen, he could take my queen. I mean, I take the pawn, he takes my queen, I take his queen. I take the pawn, he takes my rook, and I move my queen somewhere. Oh, my bishop was hanging. My bishop was hanging, so yeah, I'm just down a piece here. Let's resign here and see if we can get another game. Play a slower game this time. One of the rapid games. Here we go. Let's start with the d4 this time. Tamer Link, 2006. Good rating. Let's play the normal queen's pawn opening kind of thing, d4, c4. So he might be going for a Nimzo Indian. Let's allow that. Play my favorite Rubinstein variation. See what he's got. Okay, these first few moves are things I know by heart, but I should slow down at this point. Black has a lot of alternatives leading to different kinds of games. Black can fianchetto the bishop. Black can play with c5 or with d5, or he can just castle. So castling I normally just develop. Let's start with the bishop move. And the bishop move, I like to start with that to keep a knight from coming to this square, putting more pressure on this knight over here. Although it can be defended, it just sometimes gets awkward. But get the bishop and knight out and get castled quickly. That's one of the ideas of the Rubinstein variation. You're not setting up for a big central battle immediately because you've got a pretty solid structure. I like this c5 movement. I play that myself, which it's aimed at weakening that structure. So the normal response here is knight f3, defending. I think I will play that. So if he takes, I will take back with a pawn because I want to keep these pawns in the center as much as possible. My next move otherwise is going to be castling to unpin the knight. Eventually black will have to resolve the question of what to do with that bishop. A lot of times after you castle, black will just take the knight. But well, that saves you the trouble of playing a3 to force a decision from the bishop, and kind of gains a tempo in a way. So that's why I don't play a3, I just wait. wait and see if black voluntarily gives up the bishop for the knight. Okay, what are ideas here? I like to play knight to c6 in this position, putting more pressure on the center. Looks like he's got the other idea, which is to put the bishop here, hit the knight. So as I said, I'm going to castle. Let's take a look briefly. You always want to check to see if there's some weakness on this diagonal you can exploit. But my knight is pinned, and my bishop, if I put it there directly, his knight will just take it. Don't see any way to harass that. Yeah, I just want to get castled. If he puts the bishop there, I'll have the option of playing my knight forward or around this way. A lot of options with the knight if I don't want it to be traded. Of course, it's well defended there. Yeah, so now he takes. I take back with the pawn. Well, only option. But as I said, this often happens. Now when he takes on d5, now when he takes on d4, I can take back with the pawn, and I will have, once again, a very solid structure in the center. He hasn't done that. I could prepare to push forward with e5, e4, maybe e5 later. So I need to play the rook here to do that. And of course, he can put his knight here. This happens a lot in these situations. He puts his knight here, put my queen here, plays the pawn up. That's one way this could go forward from this point. If he just develops his knight, yeah, okay, he does that, yeah. I'm going to say, if he just develops his knight, then I'll push the pawn to e5. Now, I don't have to play that way. Well, I do kind of. I need to defend this pawn, but I could defend it with the bishop here. But is the bishop ever going to do anything from that square? I think the move I said was the correct one. Queen to c7 here. Queen to c2. And then we'll take it from here. Now I can chase the knight away by bringing my knight back here and pushing this pawn forward. That's a typical evolution in this structure, maybe even. Also, f3 helps me get in e4 as well. And then this bishop will be liberated along this diagonal. But alternatively, the bishop could come out here. Could try and make use of the pin here somehow. But usually that's not, well, the pin is usually not very useful because the knight, or the rook immediately goes to the e file anyway. And I might want to push the a pawn forward first before bringing the bishop out to a3. Those are the kinds of things I might play here. What's black going to play? Just knight to c6 finally, bring the knight out. Oh, well, he's got to defend his knight or move it. Maybe he's trying to decide between d5 and f5. Yeah, I like that f5 move. I think that's an interesting way to play. Okay, if I put my knight on e5, he will play d6, I guess, and chase it away, and it doesn't have a great square to go to. In the forward direction, there would only, yeah, in fact, the only square would be to go back here. I could wait for a move. A waiting move in this case would be rather a4, not a5, a4, to give this bishop a square to move to. Or I could just continue playing directly against the center with knight here. So what's the most likely thing he'll do after I play knight d2? He could take. I'll take with the bishop. And then he's got this good diagonal for his bishop. But I can still play f3 and e4. I think that's good for me. Otherwise, he could play, I play knight d2, he could play d5. And I could take, he could take back. I could push this pawn forward, but I know. If he defends it there, then I play, if I go here and he defends it, instead of taking, I'll just push f3 immediately to chase the knight off of that square. Okay, I've decided. So yeah, it's pretty typical in Nemzo with the white pieces to play this f3, e4 sequence against this bishop. I think there's a game, Botvinnik Capablanca, 1939 or 1938, Avro. Or Botvinnik played like that. A sacrifice. Ooh, that's exciting. So I have to take with the king. If I want to take it. I don't have to take it, actually. He's just trading, but I'll be down a pawn for nothing. So anyway, here's the idea. I take the knight. His queen comes out with check. If I just go back, I have a loose rook here. Queen takes rook. So I move to a square that defends the rook. Then he can take this pawn. He's just got bishop and queen there, but my pieces are badly placed. Let's clear that away and let's see if we can figure this out. King takes. Queen here, check. Say king f1. Queen takes h2, knight f3. Knight f3 hits the queen. He might take with the bishop. Could take back with the pawn, or he could give the queen check. Queen check on h1. My king goes to e2, and he can take here with check, and the king goes back here, and he brings a bishop in with check. I can block with the bishop. Rook, king, defending bishop, bishop, queen attacking, still okay. Maybe after I take the knight and he checks, I should go directly to e2 rather than letting him have those moves with tempo. So he'll get like three pieces for the pawn. So let's see that line. King takes knight, queen check, king e2. Then he could play bishop takes g2. And I could step back with the king to d1. Well, we'll see. There's also, pawn to g3 after the queen check, but then he just takes here with check. So I figured that was even worse. Let's see, if I go to e2 immediately, he has a queen check here, and I can't, I can block with the knight. King e2, queen check, knight here, bishop takes check, pawn takes, queen here check. If I can get my king here, I think I'm okay. Well, not great. He's getting at least 3 pawns for the piece, so it's a decent sacrifice. He went there quickly. I see his idea. After I block the check, he's going to take. I'll take back. He's not going to. After I block the check, he's not going to take. He's going to take here. And I will step back. And he'll trade queens and take my knight, and he's just won a bunch of pawns for nothing. But I really didn't see anything better. Or maybe he'll just take my knight. He could go either way. Well, that's an interesting tactic to put in your book. Yeah, so I have to block. No choice there. So yeah, I'm just down to 2 pawns. And he could pick up a third one if he wanted. So I guess he's wondering whether he should cash in or whether he should keep the material on. And he could just start to bring more force in the game. He never developed his knight. He could bring that in. He could bring a rook in. He decides to keep the force on. So, do I have a check or anything? Not sure where the best square for my queen is, but I just wanted to keep the queen defended. I could have gone to b2, maybe. That might have been better. Yeah, I'm probably going to try and force a trade. Just because with my king running around in the center like this and queens on, it's too dangerous. So I will go and try my chances in the endgame. Yeah, there he goes. Just decided it was worthwhile. Picking up an extra pawn before going to the endgame. Let's trade F a pawn here, see how he wants to take back. Now let's push this pawn forward and bring the bishop out on this side. Okay. Now we're looking at this rook. We've got this pin I was talking about earlier. And I'm just going to finish activating my pieces. Maybe I can get something. See if he falls for anything. Yeah, I want to put the rook here. Maybe push this pawn forward. Create some weaknesses over here. But putting the rook here also pins this bishop. So pros and cons. Okay, so let's take this, excuse me, we'll take the bishop, take the pawn. Yeah. He can throw in pawn takes with check, huh? But he has to take the bishop eventually, and then I'll have a weakness there I can play against. Oh, well, I thought he would just take. Funny. So, time to think. Rook here is the natural move. He will defend the pawn. Yep. Yeah, he's got my bishop kind of bottled up here. See if I can get my bishop to this square. I could chase the rook away. There is a pin here, but I can't take here with the king anyway. It's against the rules, sadly. I'm hoping he'll take, and then I'll take, and then I'll have a square for my king to come forward, and the bishop can hit his rook on this diagonal, something like that. Or if he takes and I take back, then this diagonal is open for my bishop. Ah, so he brings his knight over there to defend. Okay, so let's take this way then. Yeah, he's got a check here. I'll drop back. Or I'll come forward. Yeah, let's come forward here. He can push this pawn to check, but I'll take his knight. Okay, he can defend the knight or he can move it. If he defends the knight, it sets up some nasty discoveries, but also I could just take this pawn and I would have a passed pawn over here. This is a passed pawn as well. So I have not given up hope in this game. Question is, yeah, what's he going to do with the discovered attack? So knight goes here or here, I take the knight. Pawn goes here, I'll step forward with the king. So knight here is possible. There, let's erase those. We'll look at the possible squares for the knight. The knight could come here, check. I have to move my king. I can still move my king forward. The knight could come here, check. Could come here, check. Could come here, check. Could come here, check. I think I have a safe king move in all those cases, and the knight is hitting things on light squares where I don't have any pieces. So I'm going to actually boldly grab this pawn and see what his plan is here. So wow, it's now 2-3. So yeah, I thought he was probably killing me after that sacrifice. That was a tremendous sacrifice. I have to give him credit for that. I did not see that coming at all. Something to keep in mind. Sacrifice on f2 when the only piece that can take back is the king can be very destructive. I don't know if it was sound or not. I cannot say. But, well, I've got what you want in an endgame. I've got an active king. I've got my rooks doing something. Yeah, so there's the discovered check. So now I have to go somewhere. So if I go here, he's got this check. Maybe that's the problem. If I go here, well, yeah, I still can't take this knight. I was thinking for a while that knight was loose. I mean, that rook was loose. So I go here, he goes here, check. So that's out. I go here, he can check me here or here. Let's see, maybe I should just threaten to take the knight again, though. Where is he going? Where's the knight going from there? The knight is coming here, here. Do have to watch about this one hitting the rook. Here. So it's this one hitting the bishop. Let's erase the squares. This one hitting the bishop, this one hitting the rook. Those seem to be the most dangerous moves. And what if I just step aside with the king? Maybe he's trying to get his knight to this square. Not only attacks my rook, but helps control the queening square for his pawn. He just pushes with the check, so I can't take the knight. So, should I go forward or backwards? If I go here and he checks, it's a little bit of trouble, isn't it? When I move my king, his pawn is going to be hanging immediately. Let's see how he does with it. I'm trying to keep control of this square, so the knight can't come there. That way I can block his pawn from this square with one of the rooks. Also, I want to get this one going, but well, you can only do one move at a time, and I was in check. Let's see if I could put my bishop over here magically. That would be nice. Oh, two things are hanging, actually. His knight is hanging from the pawn. And this is hanging from the bishop. So he only has one move. He's got to play knight here, I guess. He doesn't. He doesn't. Well, that works too. This guy's pretty clever, huh? Okay, so rook or bishop here, attacking the rook. Rook moves. Has to stay on this file here. And I push the pawn, right? It's useful to gain tempos when you can, especially when you're in a potential pawn race. So that cleared the path of the pawn. Yeah, so he puts his rook behind the pawn, very sound. Should I just push? I think I should. Knight takes, rook takes, pawn push. Rook drops back. Rook here, I can take it. Push again, I can take it. I think I am just in time. The bishop is out of play and can't really help. The king, though, is close. Can't help, I mean, in terms of stopping the pawn push from coming forward. Stopping his queening attempt over here. These two pawns, they're dangerous, but they're not close. So I have time to deal with them if I win some material, like winning a knight. I've got kind of an ideal setup. When I push here, he can't even stop me from playing there with the rook. So he's going for it. He's attacking here. I push. He takes here with check. Where is his knight going from here? His knight is going to here. I see he's going to sacrifice his knight for the pawn on this square. And in the meantime, he's threatening to take here. What's my best response? If I bring my king here, he will play rook here check. What, do I have something then? Or do I have to keep going back? That just helps him get his rook down. Can't go forward with the king. I could bring a rook over. Okay, I push the pawn. He takes here with check. Then I have to go back because he's got this rook covered and the pawn is, or the rook is defended by the knight. Then it's his turn. He has to play knight here and I can take his rook. Yeah, I think I just keep pushing. Let's see if I missed anything. There's no checks in this position. I'm going to queen. He has to play knight here. I'll take his rook. Ah, he's got a check. Wow. This guy is clever. Okay, well, I only have one move, right? I'm in check. I can't take it, can't block it. I have only one square. Makes it easy. At least the knight can't get in and give another check because these are blocking the two squares the knight could go to. Well, you have to admit this guy is pretty good. Or I have to admit anyway. You don't have to. You can think what you like. But he's playing a good game. He kind of let me back into it after his initial sacrifice. That was good. And I seemed to get some counterplay in the endgame. But he's found some good moves here. Just burned up a lot of time, but we have 10 seconds increment per move. 15-minute game with 10-second increment. That's a nice relaxed time control. So he's got time to search for that killer blow. I don't see it. I mean, he can check me. I'll have to move my king. He can trade rooks. He can check me here. I move my king. And then he could push the pawn. But still there's a problem with this. Okay, so once again, I only have one move. One legal move. And I will play it. You know, he could go for the draw. I cannot escape the draw at this point. And maybe he needs to too if he doesn't have something better. Once again, when the knight moves, I can take his rook. I found something. Okay. So I'm not in check. If I queen, though, he checks and takes. No, I queen. He checks. I take the rook. He takes the pawn, I take the rook. He takes the queen, I take the rook. I'm just winning if I queen, right? I queen. Well, he can still go for the perpetual check. Can I prevent the perpetual check? I could put my bishop here. Play bishop here. Stops him from checking me. Or I could put rook here. But if I put the rook there, he's got knight here check. So he is threatening mate. And that's the problem with queening. He plays the mate. Okay. So now he goes there. Now there's no check. Let's oppose rooks here. Any check will be met with rook takes rook of some kind. He went all the way. I think actually he could have checked me again. So 2 moves with my king to stop the pawn. Bishop here to take the knight. No, I can't take the knight. I can't take the knight. Okay, so he saw a way to just win this, huh? Maybe I can get a draw. His knight is tied up to defense of that pawn. Shoot. I don't get a win. I don't get a win because when I block here, he pushes, I take, or he pushes, I take, and then he pushes the other one. Just seeing if he notices. He did. That's too bad. Yep. He probably has a mate here somewhere. I'm not sure what he's doing messing around like this. I'm just hoping for some kind of stalemate trick now. I don't know. I don't quite see it. This pawn has no moves. So if I somehow sacrifice my bishop at the right time, maybe I can get a stalemate. But sadly, he has figured something out here. Yep, there's the checkmate. Anyway, good game. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.